What's going on, everybody? It's gone, and today we'll be looking at 5 trades for Cincinnati Reds ace Luis Castillo going into the August 2nd trade deadline. Now, excluding his poor sophomore season in 2018, Castillo has always been well above average as a guy with elite strikeout rates thanks to his changeup and slider, which pair up nicely with his high-velocity fastball. With the Reds entering a rebuilding period, it makes sense for the Reds to trade Luis Castillo. Starting pitchers, especially quality starting pitchers, are always in demand, so there's no doubt that there will be a bidding war for Luis Castillo's service. However, what specifically makes this trade different from the past 2 ones that we have covered in Wilson Contreras and Martin Perez is that Luis Castillo will not be an unrestricted free agent after 2022, but has 1 year left of arbitration, meaning that the length of Castillo's contract is essentially 2 years. Both Wilson Contreras and Martin Perez were on the last year of their contract and will be unrestricted free agents after the end of the 2022 season, effectively making them a rental. However, Castillo still has 1 more year left, so teams can not only have the next year planned out, but also have more time to work on an extension. I believe that this entire thing will work out like it did with Jose Barrios. The return will be a top prospect or 2 in an otherwise huge haul, and the team that will end up acquiring contract of Castillo will assign him long term. But before we get onto the video, could you guys please hit the like and subscribe button? Currently, only 3% of people who watch my videos are subscribed, so if y'all do, not only would it help me grow my channel, but it also encourages me to create more videos like this for you guys. And without further ado, let's get on to the video. Our first trade involves the Boston Red Sox, who currently need a starting pitcher due to the massive amounts of injuries that they've had both to the top end of their rotation and towards their depth. Therefore, it makes sense that they would want to acquire Luis Castillo now. In the long term, with many of their quality starters entering free agency or on the wrong side of 30, the Red Sox could use something like a pitcher of Luis Castillo's caliber. However, one issue between a trade of these 2 teams is the Red Sox farm system. They really do not have much depth in their farm system at all, and I doubt that the Red Sox front office would want to part with some of their best prospects like Marcelo Meyer and Tristan Casas. However, I do think that they can pull off this trade without parting with their elite prospects, but just almost all of their depth. In this trade, they would have to send over Brian Bello, Jeter Downs, and Nick Room to acquire Castillo. While this may seem like a steep price, players with more years remaining on their contract are exponentially more valuable than rentals, and the Red Sox did not trade any of the elite prospects, really. Furthermore, guys like Jeter Downs and Nick Room aren't really lighting it up in the minors right now, so their value is just inherently lower right now. With the Angels' recent downfall this year, implications drastically change when it comes to who they would want to trade for, if anybody. However, one of the main reasons of this fast downfall was the pitching and especially starting pitching, with guys such as Syndergaard taking massive steps back from their first couple of weeks. Therefore, if they manage to stay in the race by the trade deadline, grabbing a borderline elite starting pitcher for the final stretch might allow them to sneak into the playoffs. But the main reason why the Angels might actually want to trade for Castillo would be for the long term. Like many other teams, the Angels are notorious for the lack of pitching over the last decade. Trading for a quality starting pitcher would solve all of their woes. The Angels do have some quality young pieces in order to facilitate a trade that are not providing large roles right now, so they might be seen as expendable. In my trade, the Angels send over Reed Detmers, Joe Adell, and Kyren Paris. Paris is the only player who is not currently in the majors and will need more development over the next few years, while Detmers and Adell will join the major league squad with many controllable years left on their contract. With the Atlanta Braves' recent surge, they have immediately gone from trade deadline in question to an almost certain buyer. Outside of the likes of Spencer Strider, Kyle Wright, and Max Fried, the Braves' rotation has been pretty poor, and in the playoffs, having 3 quality starters is great, but grabbing another elite 4th option would almost make it overwhelming in the Braves' favor. Furthermore, the Braves have some prospects left from the days when they were one of the greatest farm systems in the league, so they can afford to facilitate a trade without parting with current major league contributors. In my trade, the Braves send over Bryce Elder, Drew Walters, and Jesse Franklin. The main piece of this trade is Drew Waters, who has been a top prospect in the Braves system for a couple of years now, but has never really seen any consistent playing time due to the Braves' stacked outfield. With Michael Harris breaking out in a big way, Waters seems like he's on the way to go. Reds also acquire quality pitchers like Bryce Elder and Jesse Franklin, both of whom will need some time to develop before they reach the majors. The Minnesota Twins currently sit at first place in their division, but considering the weak AL Central and the strength of teams around them in the entire American League, we can expect them to possibly keep that postseason loss streak alive. This is probably due to the lack of starting pitching depth. Recent acquisitions such as Sonny Gray have been great, but guys like Dylan Bundy, Smeltzer, and Cole Sands have all been average to below average. Acquiring a high strikeout guy like Luis Castillo will provide some consistency, which is really what you need in the playoffs. In my trade, the main piece that comes back to the Reds would be rookie sensation Johan Duran, along with Noah Miller and Simeon Woods Richardson. The Reds will now have an option on what to do with Duran, as he has started throughout his entire minor league career, but has seen success this year as a reliever. In my opinion, if this trade does happen, I believe the Reds would keep Duran as a reliever and call up Simeon Woods Richardson to take his spot. Noah Miller is also a quality prospect, and at only 19 years old, he has plenty time to develop in the Reds minor league system. The Tampa Bay Rays have a need for a true ace, as in the playoffs, many of their young players don't really have any experience, and while Castillo doesn't have any experience either, it might help to just have someone who's a quality starter that has been in the big leagues for a decent amount of time, really. The Rays need one of, if not a couple of starters to really balance out their starting rotation, which already consists of some quality pitchers like Shane McCallaghan and Glasnow, but also some guys who are performing pretty poorly like Ryan Yarbrough. So, Castillo makes sense in the short term, but in the long term, there may be some questions when it comes to signing Castillo long term, but I trust the Rays to handle this question intelligently. Again, the Rays have one of the best farm systems in the league, so they can facilitate a trade without any great damage. In my trade, the Rays send over two quality hitters in Josh Lau and Taj Bradley, both of which are pretty nationally known and should be a cornerstone hitters in the outfield and infield for the next couple of years for the Reds. Josh Lowe should join the team immediately and Bradley within the next few years. But if this trade happens, the future would look bright, especially from a hitting side in the Cincinnati Reds. Thank you guys so much for watching. Remember, if you enjoyed, please like, share, and subscribe, and comment down below new video ideas. I'm going to focus on a lot of trade deadline videos now. I might even do another mock draft video. I don't know. But let me know if you guys would like another mock draft video. Obviously, the one I did is doing pretty good, so why not make it a second one? But anyways, thank you guys for sticking this far. Again, please hit the like, share, and subscribe button. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye. Jake Lamb, being the best player to ever exist, does not even compare to Luis Castillo, as the Reds would have to give up so much just to have him on their team. A fair trade that includes Luis Castillo and Jake Lamb would force the Reds to include Jonathan India, Brandon Drury, Matt Reynolds, Joey Votto, Mike Moustakas, Nick Senzel, Albert Almora Jr., TJ Friedl, Aramis Garcia. If the Reds included all of these players and Luis Castillo and Hunter Green and cash considerations and all of their draft picks, then the Dodgers would have to trade all of these players to the Diamondbacks, including cash, as well as the Reds trading Jake Lamb back to the D-backs. Then it would be a fair trade for all teams.